All right, and we are back here on the GSMC Football Podcast. And for the third part of the show, we're going to now get into talking about the Eagles Bengals game for Sunday. The Eagles coming in at 4-2 on the season. The Bengals, are they starting to get back on the right track? They're coming off of two straight wins. They beat the Giants and then they beat the Browns. So maybe. Look, their offense has been great this year. Joe Burrow has played really well. It's just the defense has not been great. And, they're going to need to be good on Sunday. They're going to have their hands full with the Eagles running game. So let's kind of just go through that matchup. I just got to change up a few things. Joe Burrow has 14 touchdowns to 2 interceptions. He is playing at an MVP level. It's just, again, the defense, if only the defense was average, they definitely would have a few more wins. They would have a winning record right now, but that's not the case. So kind of looking at the league rankings for these two teams, the Bengals are 8th in passing yards per game. The Eagles are 19th, but the Eagles are 2nd in rushing yards per game. They are averaging 166.7 rushing yards per game, and a lot of that has to do with Saquon Barkley, who's been great for them this year. And then the Bengals are 28th, averaging 94.3. And then points per game, the Bengals are 10th, the Eagles are 17th. Defensively, the Eagles' defense actually hasn't been that bad. They're 12th against the pass, giving up an average of 210.5 passing yards per game, and then the Bengals' defense is 17th, giving up an average of 225.1. And then rushing yards, the Eagles are giving up an average of 115.2, which is 14th, and then the Bengals' defense is 21st, giving up an average of 136.1. So you would imagine that Saquon Barkley is going to have a big game here. And then points allowed, Eagles' defense is 7th, and the Bengals' defense is 20th. Now, it's been better these last couple of weeks, but again, against not very good offenses. Now this Eagles offense, I'm expecting more out of it. Because, again, Saquon Barkley's been great for them this year, but Jalen Hurts has not been so great. His touchdown to interception ratio is not the best. It's 7-4. You'd like to see those numbers, those touchdown passes up. But you know what? Jalen Hurts is a guy that hasn't thrown for a lot of touchdown passes in a season. Last year he had 23 touchdowns to 15 interceptions. The year before that was 22-6, and then 16 to 9 in 2021. So he doesn't throw a lot of touchdown passes, but with the tush push, he gets a lot of rushing touchdowns. But yeah, Saquon Barkley's been great this year. Like I said, 658 rushing yards, 5 touchdowns. A.J.Brown being back has been huge for this offense, has been a huge boost. The Eagles definitely missed him. He's had 3 touchdowns in all 3 games that he's played in this year, and he looks to continue that in this game. I expect this game to be high scoring. Right now, the Bengals are 2.5-point favorites. Bengals defense is going to have to step up to kind of contain this run. Make Jalen Hurts beat you throwing the ball. I expect a lot of points to be scored. Jamar Chase, he's had a big year. Getting T. Higgins back has been huge for this offense. I do like I have liked what I've seen out of Chase Brown. One of their running backs. He's looked good at times during the year for them. Jamar Chase, like I said, he is leading the league in receiving yards. Got off to a slow start, but I think getting T. Higgins back, that's made a difference because now defenses are not just focusing in on Jamar Chase. They also have to pay attention to T. Higgins as well. But, yeah, the Bengals, have they turned the corner? If they could get a win here and get themselves back to 500, then I think maybe you could say that. But when you go back to the Ravens game, they put up a ton of points. The problem is their defense gave up a ton of points. And then Joe Burrow had a costly turnover late in that game that kind of made the difference. Well, he had 2 costly turnovers, I believe. There was the interception towards the end. I don't remember if the Ravens scored a defensive touchdown. I might be thinking of the Chiefs game because the Chiefs, recovered a Burrow fumble and returned that for a touchdown. But regardless, Burrow had that interception late towards the end of regulation that led to the Justin Tucker game-tying field goal. Then we went to overtime, and then Burrow threw. Actually, no, Burrow didn't throw a pick in overtime, but the Bengals just ran it, and then McPherson's kick was missed, and then the Ravens ended up scoring on their possession. But yeah, I mean the Bengals' record could be better than it is right now. They could have beaten the Ravens. A lot of people complain about the pass interference call at the end against the Chiefs. They could have won that game. Burrow in that offense played well against the Commanders. It's just their defense could not stop anything. So, the Bengals, I think, are a better team than what their record says. The problem is, again, their defense. So, but I think they could get some pressure on Jalen Hurts. I think the key thing for them is containing Saquon Barkley. That's really what they have to do. Because they're not good at stopping the run, and Saquon Barkley has had a great year. And he shredded the Giants last week. So, I think that's the key for the Bengals. But I just think this offense is going to put up points. It's hard for them not to because they got two very good wide receivers. And they got a quarterback that's playing really well right now. And may still not be 100%, working his way back from the wrist injury. But, he's been great. 14 touchdowns to 2 picks is very good. So, because you still see him, flexing the wrist at times. But he's looked good. And it's nice to see that. Because when Burrow's right, he's one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. So, but I would like to see Jalen Hurts have a good game here. Because there's definitely people out there. I'm probably one of them that are just saying, yeah, he's not playing great. And, you just hear all this stuff about Nick Sirianni. He's definitely treading on thin ice there. And if the Eagles don't have a good year, if they end up, falling flat, missing the playoffs, or maybe even being one and done in the playoffs. Right now they're in a good spot. They're 4-2, but are they a good 4-2 team? I don't think so. You look at the Bears and the Packers right now. Actually, I think the Packers now are 5-2. The Eagles still are a team that I don't trust right now. And coming up on their schedule, after the Bengals, they got some winnable games. They got the Jaguars, then they're at the Cowboys, which I think that's going to be tough for both teams just because both teams have not played their best. But maybe I'd lean towards the Eagles in that game. Then they got the Commanders at home on a Thursday night. Jaden Daniels, you hope, is back. It doesn't look like he's going to be playing on Sunday against the Bears. Then they got the Rams after that. Then they're going to be in Baltimore against the Ravens, which that's going to be a tough game. They got the Panthers. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see where the Eagles end up finishing. Because right now, they're second in the division. Cowboys are right behind them at 3-3, and the wild card, they're a half game back. They're behind the Bears. They're behind the Packers. So they're not out of it. It's just the NFC's competitive. When you got the entire NFC North occupying playoff spots, it's going to be tough. So we'll see what happens. But with this game here, it's definitely tough to pick. It's tough to pick because, again, I like the Eagles' rushing attack a lot with Barkley. I like the Bengals' passing game with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. But I am going to say that the Bengals get back to 500 in this game and they win a close one. I'm going to say the final score is 31-28. Bengals win, maybe on a last-second field goal by Evan McPherson. I expect Joe Burrow to play well. I think Saquon Barkley will have another good game. We'll see. But that's my prediction. I think it'll be a close, high-scoring game. So, and if the Bengals could get back to 500, that would be huge for them. Because right now you're looking up at the Steelers and the Ravens, the Browns. You just beat them, and they're only at 1 win at the moment. So, I like the Bengals to win, get themselves back to 500, and then they go from there. So, and they've only played. Well, they played the Ravens once. They played the Browns. So they haven't played the Steelers yet. The Steelers are going to be getting to that tough part of the schedule. It's coming up, and the Bengals are a part of that. So they got to play the Bengals twice. The Steelers still got to play the Browns twice. The Ravens twice. I mean that's why they got to stack up these wins now. And they're playing the Giants, which we'll talk about that matchup later in the show. But they need to win that game as well. So, because if you could go into this tough part of the schedule at 6-2, I like their chances to get to those 9 wins that I've been talking about. And that's been a huge topic in our production meeting is the Steelers, because you have people that think that they would win 5 to 7 games, and then you have people like me that think they're going to get to 9. They're going to get that winning record, and they probably will, I think. But we'll see. But yeah, let me know what you guys think about this Eagles-Bengals matchup. Who do you have winning? Let me know in the comments. It actually did get moved up to an earlier game. It was supposed to be a late afternoon game, but they kind of switched things around. Now they got Bears-Commanders in the later window. But unfortunately, some of the juice of that game got lost because it doesn't seem like Jane Daniels is going to play. But it should still be a good game. I mean, if Marcus Mariota plays like he did against the Panthers, which now you're going up against the Bears defense, that's really good. It could still be a good game, but definitely lost some juice if Jane Daniels is not able to go, which probably not. And probably be the right thing to keep him out of this game because, I mean, he's got a rib injury and, going up against the Bears defense, that's pretty good. So we'll see what happens. But, yeah, this game's going to be earlier. I think it'll be good. I got the Bengals winning, though. So we are going to take our next break, and then when we come back, we'll talk about the college football matchups for this weekend. We'll also get into the early slate of games in the NFL. There's no international game this week. So we'll get into all that when we come back from our next break. So with that being said, stick around, and we'll be right back here on the GSMC Football Podcast.